The day that Elena and I were supposed to get married was the day Caleb decided to show his face again. He was our friend from when we were kids, and he was the one guy she could never seem to get out of her head. We were in a big hall packed with all our friends and family, but she just stood there staring at him, and I felt her hand slide right out of mine. Right then and there, it hit me hard. Having 3 best friends growing up sounds nice, but one of them is always going to be the odd man out. I remember the day Elena asked me to marry her. I said yes immediately. That same day, she posted a photo on Instagram, which was a big deal because she hadn't posted anything in a long time. The caption said, "From the second we met until the end of time, nothing and nobody else matters." I was so happy when I saw that. I was naive enough to think that we meant me and her, and that we were going to be together forever. The picture she used was a drawing of stick figures we made when we were little. It showed a red stick figure holding hands with a blue one, and there was a little spotted dog sitting next to them. We had actually made that drawing come true. We were sitting on the couch together, holding hands with our little dog Buster in our laps, reading all the nice comments people were leaving. People were saying things like, "Childhood sweethearts," and "You guys were meant to be," and "Congrats." One comment said, "Wow, Elena, this is for real? When is the wedding? I'm coming for sure." Another friend, Dave, wrote, "Finally, I always told you guys that you were destiny." I stared at my phone screen and I could feel my eyes getting a little wet. Elena looked over at me, her eyes all crinkled up in a smile. She reached over, tapped me on the nose, and said in that soft voice she uses, "You big baby, why are you crying? I'm right here." It's putting it lightly to say I was emotional. Even though Elena and I had only been officially dating for 4 years, I had secretly been in love with her for years before that. And now, I was finally going to make her my wife. We set the wedding date for 3 months later. We did everything together. We booked the hotel, picked out the tuxedos and the dress, and I even wrapped all the little gifts for the guests by hand. Elena picked pink roses as the main flower theme. The whole reception hall looked like a sea of pink flowers. Everything was going exactly the way I had always imagined it would. That is, until the actual wedding day when Caleb came back. The ceremony was almost over. Elena took the ring from the guy officiating the wedding. In another second or two, she was going to put that ring on my finger. But suddenly, the big double doors at the back of the room swung open. A guy in a completely white suit was standing there at the end of the aisle. Even though he was far away, I knew who it was immediately. It was Caleb. And he wasn't wearing just any suit. He was wearing the exact suit I had, picked out for myself. The one Elena told me had been accidentally ruined. His hair was done up perfectly. He looked calm and totally in control. He started walking slowly through the crowd, who were all shocked, coming right toward the altar. Nobody tried to stop him. He had that same look of arrogance in his eyes that he always had. The mood in the room went from happy to freezing cold instantly. It was so quiet you could have heard a pin drop on the floor. I heard some of our friends in the front row whispering to each other, Is he wearing the suit Mark picked out? I thought she said that suit was destroyed. It looks perfectly fine to me. Yeah, anybody could see that the suit wasn't damaged at all. Elena just wanted Caleb to wear it more than she wanted me to wear it. Everyone was looking at us. And my beautiful bride, she just stared at the ex-boyfriend she never really got over. Without even hesitating for a second, she let go of my hand. Then, like she suddenly realized what she had just done, she tried to grab my hand back, squeezing the ring tight in her fist. I heard Caleb speak. He looked at Elena and said, "I love it. Thank you." I knew right then that I had lost. To be honest, there were red flags before this. The day before the wedding, Elena had just disappeared. Nobody could get a hold of her. I covered for her, telling people she was busy. I thought I knew where she went. I decided to make a bet with myself. I bet that she actually loved me. I bet that she was going to finally let go of him. I wanted a clear answer, and I wanted to give our potential family one final shot. Even without the bride there to help, I kept running the wedding prep, making sure everything stayed on schedule. Even if it meant I had to stand at the rehearsal by myself. Even if it meant she might not come back and I'd look like a total joke. From when we were 5 years old until 26, I couldn't believe all those years meant 0 to her. Luckily, Elena did come back. She showed up right before the ceremony was about to begin. When the officiant was pinning the flower to my tux, Elena appeared at the door of the dressing room, looking like she had been through a rough time. I have to admit, my heart was racing. My hands were shaking so bad I was crushing the bow tie I was holding. But she was back. She was wearing the dress we picked out, and she walked down the aisle with me. The officiant read the vows with a big smile. I looked at Elena, and her eyes looked full of love. She held my hand tight as she took the ring. Everything was perfect. Until Caleb showed up. When Elena let go of my hand without thinking twice, it broke every illusion I had. Of course. That crazy young love is the kind that leaves a mark on you. You can't just forget about it. I was still the same dumb, slow guy I always was. Only right then did I finally get it. 3 childhood friends is one too many. The whispering in the crowd was getting louder, snapped out of my sadness, and forced back the tears that were trying to come out. It was okay, I lost. But at least I knew the truth now. I figured I should let them have their happy ending. After coming all this way to put on a show like a tragic romance movie, it would be a waste if it didn't end perfectly. I grabbed the ring out of Elena's hand and shoved it right into Caleb's suit pocket. When I looked back at Elena, I heard my own voice shaking. The wedding is off. Elena, we're done. I tried to say it as calmly as I could. The crowd went crazy with noise. It didn't matter. I walked off the altar without looking back. Only then did my dear bride finally snap back to reality. She ran down and grabbed my arm, looking at me like I was the one causing the problem. "Mark, what are you doing? Stop acting like a little kid!" Caleb finally chimed in, looking like he had won a prize, but his voice was that same old manipulative garbage. "Mark, don't take this the wrong way. I just wanted to be your best man. We promised when we were kids that we'd be each other's best man, remember?" He was exactly the same as always. He was an expert at using that innocent, confused tone to make himself look completely blameless. Now his eyes were red, and his voice sounded choked up, like he was the one who had been treated badly. "Coming to be the best man in my suit? You are just as shameless as ever, aren't you? Besides, what childhood bond do we even have left, Mr. Caleb?" I really didn't want to watch Caleb's performance, but this was exactly the act Elena always fell for. She steadied Caleb, who looked like he was about to cry, and after comforting him, she finally bothered to look at me. "Mark, you are always so impulsive. I'm the one who asked Caleb to be the best man. He remembered your promise. Can we just finish the ceremony and talk about this later?" Impulsive? Me? Who asks their ex-boyfriend to be the best man at their wedding wearing the suit the groom picked out? No wonder the staff at the door didn't even blink when Caleb showed up. The bride had obviously cleared it with them. She had really prepared a massive surprise for me. Suddenly, I was done being patient. There was no dignity left to save anyway. I shook off Elena's hand, pushing her away because I was disgusted. "Elena, stop being pathetic. Do you think I'm blind? You knew he was still in love with you, and you still gave him the suit, and now you have the nerve to tell me I'm acting like a child?" "I'm sorry, it's just a suit. I didn't think you'd mind. I thought..." She couldn't even finish the lie. I pulled the heirloom emerald ring, her family's ring, off my finger and pushed it back into Elena's hand. I get it now. You two are the real love story. Why don't you marry him instead? You two really deserve each other. This ring had been given to me by Elena's grandmother before she died. I truly thought I would be the one to keep it. I had overestimated myself. In the end, I was just the joke of this whole celebration, not like Caleb. Even after being separated from Elena for so many years, that look of smug entitlement in his eyes hadn't changed a bit, just like right now. He wiped a tear from the corner of his eye, leaned on Elena's shoulder, and put on that innocent face again. His voice wasn't loud, but it was just loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Mark, are you mad just because of the suit? If you want it, I can give it to you right now." Then I heard him add in a quiet sneer, "Mark, you're so pathetic. After kissing up to Elena for all these years, you can't even get the suit you wanted." So that's what give an inch, take a mile looks like. I couldn't take it anymore. I pushed Elena aside, stormed up to Caleb, and grabbed his tie. Smack. I hit him with a loud slap across the face. The hall erupted in gasps. Caleb clutched his left cheek, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Surprised? Didn't think I'd actually hit you, did you? Let me tell you, Caleb, consider that slap my wedding gift to you and Elena. You can keep this stupid suit. No need to thank me. You pull another stunt like this, and I'll give you a few more." I shook my hand because it stung. I watched as Caleb, looking devastated, collapsed into Elena's arms, his voice sounding like he was sobbing, as if he'd suffered some terrible injustice. Ha! I had to admit his acting skills were top-notch. I was no match for that. But I didn't expect Caleb to suddenly lunge forward and push me. It happened too fast. I stumbled backward, losing my balance. Just as I was about to fall, someone caught me from behind. I turned around. It was Mrs. Carter, Elena's mother. Today she was wearing the gown I had picked out for her. It was elegant and beautiful, but her face looked grim. After steadying me, she suddenly stepped forward and slapped Caleb hard. Smack! The sound was crisp and long, echoing through the entire hall. It wasn't just me. Even Elena was stunned. Who would have thought that the always gentle, reserved Mrs. Carter could explode like that? Caleb held his left cheek, which had now been slapped twice, his eyes filled with hate. I'd noticed back in high school that Elena's mom didn't like Caleb, and Caleb didn't like her either. I just never understood why. After 2 slaps, even Caleb couldn't keep up his act. He clutched his already swelling face, shot a hateful glare at me and Mrs. Carter, and ran out of the chaotic wedding hall. And my bride, Elena, stared at the direction Caleb had run, totally torn. After less than 30 seconds of hesitating, ignoring the shouts of her parents, Elena ran after Caleb. Before she left, she didn't forget to toss a few more words to sicken me. "I'm sorry, Mark. I really do love you. Wait for me. I'll explain." Sorry? Love me? Wait for her? I'm not that pathetic. A carefully planned wedding had turned into the most absurd joke. Me and Elena, my family and her family. Years of friendship ending today. On the way home, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. I just put it on silent. But then the screen lit up with a string of text messages. "Mark, Caleb and I ended things a long time ago. Don't misunderstand, Caleb didn't mean any harm. Stop acting like a child. Wait for me to come back." I immediately blocked Elena on everything. Keeping her contacts would just be hurting myself. A single tear escaped the corner of my eye. I tried to force myself to laugh, but hot tears just kept flowing, drowning me. How did things end up like this? Elena and I had been neighbors since kindergarten. We were 5 years old. We were two little terrors constantly chasing each other, getting into trouble. We were so rowdy we were always getting our parents called in. It got to the point where our parents had a system. If the school called one set of parents, they knew it was for both of us. We fought our way through elementary school. And then I met Caleb. Or more accurately, I ran into Caleb. I was still just as hyperactive. I was running too fast during recess and knocked him flat on the ground. He fell, his eyes got red, his lips started to quiver, and I immediately panicked. I pulled him up and started apologizing. And just like that, we became friends. Honestly, Caleb and I were opposites. We never should have gotten along, but he just kept seeking me out. Before long, he met Elena. And just like that, our two-person team became 3. When did that friendship start to crack? I think the signs were there at the start of high school. At 16, Elena was the perfect popular girl. Tall, beautiful, a straight-A student, and she could destroy anyone on the school's debate team. She had just started high school and was already drowning in snacks and love letters from admirers. A lot of guys liked her. I was one of them. A teenage crush is hard to hide. I secretly told Caleb all about it. He just laughed and teased me. Our Mark is all grown up. He's got a crush. We laughed about it all afternoon. A few days later, on Valentine's Day, Caleb pulled me aside mysteriously and asked me to deliver a love letter for him. A love letter he had written to Elena. "Mark, we're best friends, right? Can you give this to Elena for me? I'm too embarrassed." I was floored. My best friend was asking me to give his love letter to the girl I liked. I wasn't angry that Caleb liked Elena. I was angry that he knew how I felt and still asked me to do this. I refused. Caleb's face suddenly changed into one I had never seen before. He sneered. I could hear the mockery in his voice. "Mark, do you really think that just because you won't deliver it, Elena and I won't get together? I was just trying to give you a chance to still be friends with us." He was right. A few days later, I heard the news they were dating. One was the girl I'd liked for years. The other was my best friend. They were together, and I was the last person in our friend group to find out. Caleb was very public about it. He grabbed Elena's hand, walked right up to me, and put on that innocent, clueless expression again. He asked me, "Mark, Elena and I are together now. You'll support us, right?" What could I say? I could only blame myself for being too slow. I couldn't bring myself to support them. After that, I intentionally avoided any situation where all 3 of us would be together. I had to. I really liked Elena, and I just couldn't understand Caleb's betrayal. Maybe our friendship had been fake from the start, but what was his goal? This awkward distance lasted until our senior year. In the first half of senior year, Mrs. Carter found out about her and Caleb. They had been too public, and the school made an example of them. The school called in both Elena's and Caleb's mothers. It was a huge mess. At the end of the semester, Caleb suddenly left the country. He and Elena were forced to break up. And I ended up at the same university as Elena. Without Caleb in the way, Elena and I started getting close again. This long-lost closeness made me almost forget Caleb even existed. But we were, through it all, just friends. The turning point happened in our senior year of college. An older student in my department, Sarah, started pursuing me, and she was not subtle. Sarah was amazing, beautiful, elegant, and Elena's #1 rival on the debate team. Our 2 departments were in a heated competition. The debate hall was packed with supporters for both sides. I had gotten there early to save a good seat, and I was yelling, "Go Sarah!" over and over. During the mid-debate break, Sarah walked right up to me. She held out her hand, asking for the bottle of water I was holding. In an instant, the whole room started hooting and cheering. I turned bright red, completely frozen. Suddenly, another hand shot out and grabbed the water bottle from me. I turned. It was Elena. She just casually opened the bottle, took a huge drink from it, and stared Sarah down with a smug, challenging smile. "He's my boyfriend. Only I get to drink his water." Then she grabbed my shirt, pulled me in, and kissed me on the cheek. The entire place exploded. And just like that, Elena and I were officially a couple. To be fair, Elena was an amazing girlfriend. She was always so romantic. She would pick a night that was drizzling but where the moon was still out, and take me on a Ferris wheel to get as close to the sky as possible. The breeze would blow the light mist onto our faces, and under the moonlight, we had our first kiss. She was always so gentle and thoughtful. She'd take me to see the northern lights in the summer. We'd wear matching scarves in the dead of winter. When I had stomach problems for a few days, she was always there with warm water and medicine. She paid such close attention to everything about me. I was so blinded by her meticulous care that I never stopped to think about who had taught her to be so thoughtful. Being blissfully ignorant has its perks. At least our time together was beautiful. But when that bubble burst, all those tiny, massive, wonderful memories turned into sharp shards of glass stabbing me in the heart. They left me bleeding out, unable to sleep. I still remember our first anniversary. Elena rented an entire riverboat and invited all our friends from college. The night was beautiful, with a cool breeze coming off the water. The boat was decorated in a way that was both fancy and romantic. It was filled with my favorite flowers, lilies, and SpongeBob SquarePants dolls. A dazzling fireworks show was the highlight of the evening. Against the full moon, pink roses exploded in the sky, one after another, all night long. It was so beautiful, it felt like a dream. To the sound of an elegant piano, Elena took my hand and led me down an aisle scattered with lily petals to receive our first anniversary gift, a little spotted puppy. She named him Buster. I asked her why she chose that name. She said, "I hope he can protect the one I love and keep him safe and happy." Her words moved me for a long, long time. Thinking back on it now, I can only laugh at how naive and conceited I was. We dated like that for 4 whole years. Everyone assumed we'd end up together, including our families. Our parents had watched both of us grow up. They were thrilled about our relationship. So when Elena's grandmother got very sick on her deathbed, her parents called both me and Elena to her side. Her grandmother held my hand, and in front of the entire family, she entrusted both Elena and the family's heirloom emerald ring to me. I really thought Elena and I would be together forever. So when she proposed to me right after grad school, I said yes without a moment's hesitation. But in the end, it all came to this. Elena's parents called her back home, but I refused to see her. It wasn't that I was afraid I couldn't let go. It was that I was just too disgusted. 4 years of sweet memories were crashing around in my head, and now they all felt like rotten garbage. I can still see her face when she proposed. She was so beautiful that day, her eyes full of love. She told me, "Mark, we'll be happy together forever." But in the end, she was the one who personally smashed that beautiful illusion. I just couldn't understand how things could fall apart so quickly. It wasn't until my high school friend Dave sent me a screenshot of an Instagram post that I finally understood. It wasn't that things fell apart quickly. It was that I had been living a lie the entire time. It was a screenshot of Caleb's Instagram. The content was familiar. The picture was the exact same one Elena had posted the night she proposed to me. The only difference was that beneath the picture there was a lot of text. It was in Elena's handwriting, a list of all the promises she and Caleb had made when they were young. "We'll get a spotted dog together and name him Buster." We'll set off a whole night of pink rose fireworks for Caleb. We'll eat Caleb's favorite mango cake together. We'll ride the Ferris wheel to the very top and watch the moon on a rainy night. We'll have a wedding filled with pink roses. So that was it. No wonder she insisted on mango in the wedding cake, even though she knew I'm allergic. She doesn't even like mango. No wonder Elena wanted pink roses as the main flower for the wedding. I suddenly understood what Caleb meant at the altar when he said, "I love it. Thank you." Of course he loved it. My wedding was decorated to look like his dream. How could he not love such a blatant declaration of love? So all these years, Elena had never let him go. All that romance she showed me was just her using me as an excuse to relive her love for Caleb over and over. She was proclaiming her guilt and love for Caleb to the world, all under the guise of loving me. And as for me, I was just the conceited stand-in. So the moment the original returned, I was instantly kicked to the curb. Our dog Buster was whining and rubbing against my leg. I looked down at him and burst into tears. The dog I had raised with my own hands was their pledge of love. After all these years, I was finally seeing Elena's true heart for the first time. I wiped my tears. This wasn't the time to be weak. I had more urgent things to deal with. When I went down to the garage, I saw Elena and Dave from a distance. They were arguing loud enough for me to hear. Dave was furious. "Are you crazy? Who invites their ex-boyfriend to be the best man at their wedding?" "I just wanted to make one of his wishes come true. I didn't think it would turn into this," Elena replied, as calm as ever. "Whose wish? Caleb's? He was obviously up to no good. Couldn't you see that?" Elena didn't answer, just stared at the ground. Dave snatched the car keys from her hand and yelled, "Even an idiot could see Caleb was there to sabotage the wedding. And you gave him Mark's suit? Are you stupid? How are you going to fix things with Mark?" Elena cut Dave off, annoyed. "Don't talk about him like that. We've been friends for so many years. He just wanted to congratulate us. As for Mark, I'll explain it to him properly. We've been through so much together. Our relationship won't just end like this." "Been through so much?" Dave actually laughed at that. "Are you dreaming? You've been through all that goodwill and now it's gone. When you regret this, don't come crying to me. And if you and Caleb actually get together, don't talk to me either. I don't want the bad luck." Dave angrily pushed past Elena and stormed off. Elena sighed and ran after him, and I stood there in the shadows not knowing whether to laugh or cry. So much history. Elena really thought she had me figured out. The saddest part? My old high school buddy was defending me more than the woman I had almost married. I really wasted my youth on a dog. I went out for a while. When I got back, I threw everything related to the wedding into the dumpster by the curb, including our wedding photos. The sun was bright today, glinting off the glass of the photo frames. My message was clear. Elena would see it. I didn't plan on handling the rest of this personally. I'd let our parents deal with it. But I didn't expect Elena to refuse to get a divorce. What right did she have to refuse? Elena eventually convinced Dave to call me. I opened the message from Dave, but it was Elena's voice that came out. "Mark, I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. Please don't block me. I've cleared things up with Caleb. We're really just friends. I really love you." Her voice in the message was choppy, and I could hear the sound of bottles breaking in the background. It's laughable, isn't it? She abandoned me at the wedding, humiliating me in front of everyone. Now that she realizes I'm serious about leaving, she puts on this pathetic, heartbroken act to profess her love. Where was this energy before? I honestly can't understand her logic. When I loved her, she treated me as a stand-in for her one true love. Now that I'm willing to let her go, she's suddenly playing the part of the devoted lover. She's just... I don't know. She's acting crazy. And Caleb was acting crazy right along with her. I could see it in the friend requests he kept sending me. It's not what you think with me and Elena. Give us a chance to explain. Us? He's so good at this. Pretending to be weak, but really he's just showing off. When it comes to this kind of passive-aggressive crap, I'm no match for him. You really don't need to be upset. Everyone has a past, right? A past should stay in the past. He and Elena should have stayed dead and buried. Popping up just to make me sick is just wrong. We grew up together. Our childhood friendship. Are you just going to throw it all away? Isn't that a shame? I'd heard the saying, a shameless person is invincible. Now I finally understood what it meant. Thank God for the new app update. I could see his entire dramatic performance without ever having to accept his request. I ignored both of their self-absorbed theatrics, but then Dave called, and he was again trying to plead Elena's case. I only said one thing to him. A relationship is like a broken mirror. Once it's shattered, you can't force it back together. Stop trying to convince me. It's impossible. I suddenly understood something. Why people who were once so madly in love become bitter enemies after a breakup. It's simple. The deeper the love, the deeper the wound. Just one more look is enough to make your insides twist in pain. And the next thing I had to do was going to be far more painful than just breaking up with Elena. After ignoring Elena for half a month, I had Dave set up a meeting. Some things are better dealt with sooner rather than later. We met at the lounge Dave owns. It's the same place Elena proposed to me. It's only been a few months, but coming back now, it felt like a lifetime ago. Dave had cleared the place out for us. When I got there, they were already waiting. As I expected, Caleb was there too. A smug, satisfied grin on his face. Of course. This was a perfect opportunity for him to gloat. I ignored Caleb completely. He started to walk over to me, but Dave pulled him away. Elena's face lit up when she saw me. She probably thought me asking to meet meant I was willing to reconcile. She rushed over to try and take my hand, but I immediately stepped back. Her face, already looking haggard, fell. She looked at me wanting to speak, but didn't know what to say. I didn't care how she felt. I just pulled out a folder of documents. After the wedding, I'd asked a friend to look into Caleb's current situation. I also finally understood why Elena had disappeared the day before the wedding. I slapped a stack of photos and bank transfer records onto the table. When she saw them, I thought for a second that I had won my bet. But in the end, I had still lost. Completely. This truth was far more damaging than simple cheating. If I wanted to make a clean break from Elena, I had to be the one to reveal it. I left the copies of the file with her and walked away. I had nothing left to say to her. It's strange. She's the person I loved for so many years, but after just half a month, seeing her again was like looking at a stranger. All I felt was apathy. That face, the one I used to dream of spending the rest of my life with. Now all I felt when I thought of it was disgust and mockery. I curled up in a dark corner of the lounge. My heart ached. It was a pain worse than any physical injury. I didn't even realize my eyes were red. As I was staring into space, a tissue was held out in front of me. I looked up. I recognized the hand. It was Sarah. She was frowning, looking at my devastated state. I always seem to be at my worst when she's around. At the wedding and now here. Sarah insisted on driving me home. She said she was worried about me. She always had been. I understood what she meant. I knew it from the moment she flew halfway across the world just to attend my wedding. But right now, I just didn't have the mental energy to even think about that. Sarah, thank you. But I don't know when I'll be over this. I can't drag you into it. Sarah didn't answer directly. Instead, she grabbed an orange from the bar and placed it in my hand. "Try it. I remember you love oranges. I've tried this kind. They're very sweet." She smiled at me, that same gentle smile from college. "Mark, time heals all wounds. I'm not in any rush." The orange was, in fact, very sweet. I ate 3 of them, as if eating enough sweetness could somehow counteract the bitterness in my heart. It didn't work. The lounge wasn't far from my house. As we pulled up, I saw Elena. She was standing outside my house, her back to the door, smoking a cigarette. Good. Seeing her now saves me a trip. I told Sarah to stop at the curb, and I got out and walked up to Elena. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. But then she saw Sarah in the car behind me, and her expression darkened. The disappointment was obvious, but all I could think was, this sudden devotion is worthless. I handed her the divorce papers. As expected, Elena's reaction was priceless. Shock, regret, pain, conflict, all of them flashed across her face, one after another. I didn't feel any satisfaction. I just looked at her calmly. "Elena, how long are you going to let him fool you? Do you really think there's anything left for us to save? Let's get a divorce. It's the only way this can end." The next second, she tore the papers to shreds, her eyes filled with an agonizing pain. "Why didn't you tell me this sooner? If you had told me, we never would have gotten to this point. I really do love you." "And where would we be, Elena? I don't need your pity as an apology. Your love is fake, and I'm done with it." Did she not want to tell me? It was betrayal before the wedding and lies after. I will not use one lie to hold on to a woman who doesn't love me. Not everyone gets the love story they dream of. If I get it, I'm lucky. If I lose it, that's just life. I accept it. Elena collapsed onto the ground, sobbing into her hands. I think for the first time she was truly feeling the pain of being deceived and betrayed. Just like I did. The pain has to be deep for the memory to stick. I want her to remember this absurd farce forever. Just like I will. Elena's parents found out what happened very quickly. They kicked Elena out of the house that night. Her mother also went to find Caleb, and the two of them had another massive confrontation. Caleb was never one to take a loss. I knew they had bad blood, but I was surprised by how aggressively he fought back against her. He could have just used his old tactics on her. Play the victim, act innocent, squeeze out a few tears. By making the relationship this hostile, it seemed like he wasn't even trying to have a future with Elena. This wasn't his usual style. The night Elena was kicked out, her parents came to my house. They apologized to me, saying they hadn't raised their daughter right, and that I had been terribly wronged. Elena's mother held my hand, her eyes red, and told me some old family history. And I finally understood why she and Caleb were destined to be enemies. Back when Elena and Caleb's relationship was exposed in high school, we were in our senior year, the most critical time. So the school called in both Elena's and Caleb's mothers. And just like that, Mrs. Carter and Caleb's mother, Lee, met again after many years. Lee was Elena's father's first love. They had been deeply in love for years, but were forced to break up by their parents. Later, Elena's parents met and fell in love quickly. Right when they got married, Lee reappeared. She told Elena's father that she couldn't let him go, that he had to abandon his new wife and get back together with her. He refused. What followed was relentless harassment from Lee. Even after Elena was born the next year, Lee's obsession didn't stop. It was only 2 years later, when Elena's parents moved, that the nightmare finally ended. Many years passed, and then Elena and Caleb's relationship brought these two warring women back together. Lee was just as obsessive and crazy as before. She said to Mrs. Carter, "I never got your husband, but my son got your daughter. I guess heaven isn't so unfair after all, is it?" Mrs. Carter was terrified. She had just met Caleb, and she saw that the boy's personality and manipulative nature were exactly like his mother's. The defiant look in his eyes was identical to his mother's. She was certain Caleb was bad news. So she used all her connections to get Caleb kicked out of the school. Caleb leaving the country was unexpected, but for Mrs. Carter, it was even better. Years had passed since then. She thought she was finally done with Lee and her son. But the moment Caleb returned, he shattered that long-held peace. After hearing the story, I sighed. Fate is a strange thing. If something isn't yours, no matter how tightly you hold on, it will slip through your fingers. Lee was driven mad by love. I won't let myself become that. After that night, Elena refused to see Caleb. He couldn't find her, so naturally he came to find me. It was a dark and stormy night. Caleb burst in, soaked to the bone. He grabbed my hand, begging me to let Elena go, to stop getting in their way. He told me Elena had never loved me. I didn't argue. I just stared at his obsessive, crazed face for a long time, trying to remember the boy I'd first met. I couldn't. People really do change, don't they? I pushed Caleb off me and had Dave call Elena. She arrived quickly. The moment Caleb saw her, he rushed to her, but Elena dodged him. Her eyes, which once looked at Caleb with such tenderness, were now filled with nothing but cold caution. When she spoke, her voice was distant, pushing him away. "Caleb, you've caused enough trouble. It's time for you to go. I have nothing left to say to you." "Elena, what does that mean? Are you breaking up with me?" Caleb put on that innocent, vulnerable face again. This time it didn't work. "We already broke up, back in senior year. Try to remember." "Is it because of him?" Caleb pointed at me. Elena looked at me, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. She gave a self-deprecating laugh and shook her head. "It has nothing to do with him. I just don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Caleb, let it go. Let us both move on." "Is that right? You want to cut ties with me? Don't be stupid, Elena. We can never be cut off from each other." Caleb's expression turned strange, shifting from anger to conflict, and finally to a twisted, triumphant madness. He looked around the room, his eyes landing on me and Elena. He said, "Let me tell you both a story. Once upon a time, there was a couple. They were very in love, but their parents forced them apart. After they broke up, the woman discovered she was pregnant. She insisted on having the baby, but as soon as the child was born, the woman's parents sent him to an orphanage. The woman was heartbroken. She went to find the child's father, only to discover he had a new lover. She begged the man to come back to her, but he refused. The woman stayed near the man, never leaving, until her mother died, and she had to go home for the funeral. When she returned, she found the man had moved his new family away. She had no choice but to go back to her parents. Years later, she adopted a son from an orphanage. That little boy from the orphanage was me. Story time is over. Do you have any questions?" Caleb stared at us. Elena and I were just stunned. We couldn't process it. This story, it was too similar to the one Elena's mother had told. A terrible, awful guess was forming in my mind, but I was afraid to say it. If my guess was right, then what was Caleb's goal? He was a madman. Elena, trembling, asked the question I was thinking. "Caleb, are you saying that you and we might have that kind of relationship?" "Why be so delicate, Elena? It's not might." Caleb saw the terror in her eyes, and his smile grew even more crazed. "That woman is your mother, and I am the family member you all forgot." Caleb's words were like a snake, striking, freezing Elena where she stood. He just admired her horrified expression, and his next words were laced with poison. "Isn't it fun, sister? Every time you looked at me with all that love in your eyes, I would imagine your face when you found out the truth. Your reaction right now, it's exhilarating. What do you think your mother's reaction will be when she finds out who I really am?" He suddenly lunged forward and grabbed Elena's hand again, his eyes red with excitement. "Get off me! You make me sick!" Elena ripped her hand away, but he grabbed her even tighter. "I know I'm disgusting, Elena, but you didn't seem to think I was disgusting when we were wrapped up in each other." Hate and mockery dripped from his words. "You said you loved me, but you were still going to marry Mark. But the second you saw me, you dropped him. Who's the disgusting one here? You are. You're just as disgusting and fake as your mother." My guess was right. This was a conspiracy that had been planned for a long time. Caleb must have known his relationship with Elena from the beginning, but he never said a word. He was like a viper hiding in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And he struck hard. His bite was venomous, precise, and aimed right for the heart. I asked Caleb, "When did you find out who Elena was?" His answer was just what I expected. "From the moment I met you, I knew who Elena was. Becoming your friend was just the easiest way to get close to her." He paused, as if remembering something, and then continued. "Don't you think the three of us are just like my mother and her parents? It's all thanks to you, Mark. When you told me you liked her, I finally figured out the perfect way to drag everyone down into this mess." His words stunned me. I guess hatred really can make a person lose their mind. "So your method was to date her. She's innocent in all this. Did it ever occur to you that Elena's mother never even knew you existed? Your hatred is baseless." "Baseless? She abandoned my mother. Because of her, I spent 7 years in an orphanage. 7 years. You have no idea what it's like to grow up without parents. So what if they didn't know? How could I stand by and watch only you all get to be happy? So when Elena ran to you the day before the wedding, you knew this was your moment." I finished the story for him. Caleb and I locked eyes. The anger and hatred in his were raw and real. He had used both me and Elena as tools for his revenge. But what did we have to do with the older generation's mistakes? Caleb, through this cruel and malicious scheme, had torn me and Elena apart. I couldn't even bear to imagine what would happen when Elena's parents learned the truth. What Caleb's mother had failed to do, Caleb had accomplished. Fueled by a misplaced, obsessive hatred, he had destroyed us. And himself. Before he left, Caleb looked at Elena one last time, his eyes filled with a strange mix of grievance and sorrow. He told her she had no right to hate him. It was all her own choice. "Remember this, Elena. I never loved you. You were just a tool for my revenge. Mark was the one who truly loved you. You're the one who pushed him away. Nobody forced you." After saying that, Caleb turned and walked out. The rain was pouring, and he was instantly swallowed by the storm. This man full of hate had dropped a bomb on our peaceful lives, and then vanished. The revelation of his true identity sent shockwaves through Elena's family. Her mother was so overcome with grief and shock that she fell ill. Her father had to take care of his wife while simultaneously trying to manage the rumors and gossip spreading online. That's right, Caleb had posted everything. His story with Elena, the older generation's tangled history, all of it. I don't know how Elena's father handled it in the end. On one side, a heartbroken, devastated daughter. On the other, a bitter, hateful son. A story of love and hate spanning 2 generations. There was no way for it to end well. Elena fell apart for a long time. I mean, can you blame her? The unforgettable first love she'd been pining for had been lying about his identity the whole time, all part of a conspiracy, and had even scammed her using a fake story. Now all that was left was a pile of ashes and absurd lies. Anyone would need time to recover. She started smoking, drinking heavily, and even driving drunk. Until one night on a deserted road, she crashed her car and ended up in the hospital. Multiple bone fractures and massive internal bleeding. The doctors managed to save her, but her vocal cords were severely damaged. She would never be able to stand on a debate stage again. The fact that she was alive was the best possible outcome. After she was discharged, she locked herself in her house and refused to see anyone. Her mother cried every day. Caleb was nowhere to be found. In just a few short months, her parents' hair had turned visibly gray. I could only sigh. We were once so close to happiness. Now all we could do was stare at the wreckage, licking our wounds and remembering what used to be. About 6 months later, I received a package from Elena. It contained the signed divorce papers and a letter of apology. Inside was the heirloom emerald ring. She wanted me to keep it. She said her grandmother had left it for me. But I knew I no longer had any right to it. I sent the ring back. I only kept the papers. The divorce was finalized quickly. The assets were divided without any trouble. I kept Buster. I had raised him. I couldn't abandon him. I don't ride Ferris wheels anymore. I don't like watching fireworks. Sarah comes by sometimes to take me out, just as friends. Buster really likes her. When she's around, he doesn't even want me to hold his leash. That little traitor. Life is slowly starting to get back to normal. The evening light is beautiful, turning Sarah's eyes a sparkling gold. The breeze smells like lilies. It's a new season. Lilies bloom twice. Maybe in the near future, I can find my own happiness too. Epilogue. Caleb's story. I was an orphan. I grew up in an orphanage, but I knew I had a family. They just didn't want me. The kids with families who lived near the orphanage told me. They said I was bad luck, a worthless burden, that I'd cursed my parents and dragged everyone down. That's why I was thrown out at birth. I wanted to argue, but I had no argument. Why else would my family have abandoned me? So when my mother finally came to get me from the orphanage and told me that all our misfortune was caused by Elena's parents, I believed her. I was so happy. I finally had a perfect reason. I wasn't a worthless bad luck charm. It was those selfish, evil people who had abandoned us for their own desires. I was the innocent victim. I did what my mother said. I transferred schools. I deliberately found a way to befriend Mark and used him to get close to Elena. Stupid Elena was just as easy to fool as her mother had been. I successfully made her my girlfriend, and I successfully shattered her years of friendship with Mark. But her mother discovered my plan. She pulled some strings, and I was forced to transfer. Leaving the country was unexpected. My mother got sick, the same as her parents, cancer. I was her only family. I had to go with her for treatment, but it wasn't over. I never truly cut off contact with Elena. When I heard from high school friends that she and Mark were getting married, I knew. The time for my final revenge had come. Luring Elena overseas was effortless. In that moment, I suddenly felt bad for Mark. How would he feel if he knew the suit he loved was being sent to his fiancée's first love? I was so curious to see his reaction, so I flew back, full of anticipation, to attend their wedding. The wedding was beautiful. It was exactly what I had dreamed of, and their reactions were priceless. Shock, disappointment, anger. The wedding was a complete disaster. But it wasn't enough. When I finally revealed my true relationship with Elena, the look of absolute, soul-crushing shock on her face, it finally gave me the sweet, intoxicating taste of revenge. A woman like her deserves to be ruined forever. She didn't deserve happiness, and her parents had to pay the price. I read the online gossip about her family and me to my mother on her deathbed. She was just a skeleton, her eyes empty. She died without ever closing them. I don't know if she was satisfied with the result. I don't know if she regretted raising me to be a heartless monster. Whatever. We'll be seeing each other soon. I'll ask her then. Actually, I know what I did was evil, pathetic, and disgusting. But if I didn't do it, I couldn't stay by my mother's side. I had finally found family. How could I let that go? Now my mother is gone. I went to that Ferris wheel. The car rose to the very top. The wind was light. The night sky was quiet. The past flashed before my eyes. All these people, all these events, the only person I feel sorry for is Mark. I'm sorry, Mark. When it comes to you, I am truly a sinner. In the distance, fireworks exploded. I took the leap. The wind rushed past my ears and everything went to nothing.